Hello everyone, and welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets. I'm so happy you're here, because today we're peeling back the curtain on a subject that never fails to stir up emotions among fans of Turkish dramas and real-life romances alike. We're exploring the forces that try to pry apart the couples we root for, and this time, our focus is firmly on a pair who've become a fascination across social media and living rooms everywhere, Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda. Their connection feels undeniable. Whenever they occupy the same frame, it's as if the scene itself breathes differently. But in the places where heat and attention gather, shadows aren't far behind. And those shadows seem to be moving with purpose, stepping closer, testing boundaries, and probing the edges of a relationship that so many people want to see thrive. Before we dive into the turbulence, if you haven't yet joined our community, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video from Turkish Spotlight Secrets. We love bringing you heartfelt analysis of the love stories that grip us, both on screen and beyond it, and today's topic doesn't come with empty hype. When we say that adversaries are working to drag Gökberk and Cemre apart once more, we're talking about a reality that plays out in scripts and in the headlines, sometimes in whispers, sometimes in headlines that feel like shouts. With Gökberk and Cemre, you sense a rhythm that rises above press tours and photo calls. It's in the stolen smiles, the subtle body language, the easy familiarity that suggests a partnership deepened by shared work and mutual respect. But every light attracts moths, and every love story inspires an audience, and an opposition. So the question becomes, who are the ones pushing against them, inch by inch, hoping to crack that bond? In drama worlds, these saboteurs are practically archetypes. Bitter ex-lovers waylaid by nostalgia, colleagues with unspoken crushes, relatives who think they're protecting their own vision of the future, gatekeepers nursing old grudges, and coy villains with a calculating streak. You've seen it on the shows, the meddling authority figure trying to steer a life, the handsome friend from just before who returns right when everything else is going right, the teammate who smiles during rehearsals but plants a rumor during the wrap party. Those are the moves that make you want to pause the scene, step into it, and warn the couple about the trap that's already sprung. But what about when we step outside the studio gates? Real life, for stars like Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda, can mirror fiction in unnerving ways. There are paparazzi waiting for the photo that can be cropped into a new narrative, anonymous accounts pushing bait that travels faster than fact, and a marketplace of gossip where a misunderstanding is more profitable than a quiet truth. Fame is bright, and generous, and heavy. It brings applause and opportunity, it also magnifies insecurity and invites intrusion. There are always people who learn how to ride the current of that visibility, twisting it for their own ends. Let's walk through the scenarios circling them, the ones that feel all too plausible whether we're thinking about a series plot or the mundane choreography of their daily lives. Imagine a supporting character crafted by writers to test the couple's trust, someone working side by side with Gökberk, feigning collaboration while quietly stoking tension about Cemre's intentions. Or picture a friend orbiting Cemre, gently pressing doubts, turning private anxieties into friction that can be fanned into flame. That's how sabotage often looks, nothing dramatic at first, just a careless remark threaded into a busy day, a rumor tucked into a smile, a question asked at exactly the wrong time. Now take a step into the industry's real corridors. Suppose Gökberk is deep into a demanding series that requires late nights and early call times, while Cemre is in the thick of a film that's shooting on a brisk schedule across town. A producer with too much ambition and too little scruple could start framing their commitments as competition, hinting that one is getting preferential treatment or painting their pathways as unequal. Maybe an agent slips a story to keep a client on the trending page. Maybe a manager tells a reporter that what's happening behind the scenes is juicier than the script. It doesn't take much. A whisper about favoritism here, a sly suggestion of jealousy there, and suddenly a minor delay or missed dinner becomes a puzzle piece in someone else's narrative. Then there's the ex who lingers as a footnote in articles, waiting to be dragged into the present by an algorithm and an opportunistic blog. We've all seen it. A resurfaced photo, an ambiguous caption, and the internet starts building a conclusion brick by brick. Perhaps an old colleague reminisces with flattering words that can be read two ways, or a distant acquaintance insists they know what really happened. These provocations don't have to be true, they just need to be shareable. And once they circulate, strangers with loud opinions start issuing verdicts neither Gökberk nor Cemre has time to defend against. Social media adds a whole layer of volatility. Under a sweet snapshot, there's always that one bitter comment designed to burrow under the skin, too clever by half, sounding reasonable at first, engineered to stick. A tweet can erase context in 5 seconds and invite a storm. A 4-second clip, lifted from a longer interview, can become proof of something it never meant to say. Even well-meaning fans may play a part by romanticizing the pair to an impossible standard, panicking at every scheduling conflict, and painting small human moments as grand declarations. Love gets flattened into content, nuance dissolves into expectation. Competitors surface, too, rivals who see the attention around Gökberk and Cemre as a wall to climb or, if they can manage it, to crack. You can imagine what that looks like in practice. Unflattering leaks timed to a premiere, brutal critiques dressed as objectivity, and campaigns that try to redirect the spotlight. Sometimes it's not even personal, just the cost of being visible in a field where visibility is currency. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's very personal, emerging from envy and the bitter math of comparison. We can't ignore the way the system itself shapes these stories. Networks and producers are always calculating what will keep the audience on the edge of their seats. If conflict keeps eyes glued, then conflict is what some people will recommend. A love triangle written into a script can boost ratings, a speculative headline can boost clicks. That pressure pushes people to make choices that don't always reflect what's healthiest for a relationship. It's not that there's a master plan behind every hiccup. It's that incentives often reward the more chaotic path. So, how did Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda push back? Their power is in the quiet fundamentals, the frank conversation after a long day, the promise to check in even on the worst week, the decision to discard the bait. A strong couple, no matter the glamorous packaging, is built out of simple, stubborn habits. But we shouldn't pretend the interference doesn't wear on those habits. The fatigue of correcting a false story means less energy for a real one. The slow bleed of speculation corrodes patience and tempts you to barricade your heart. That's the challenge for them, to protect their boundary without losing the openness that drew them to one another in the first place. If this were a series, the scriptwriters would start threading in antagonists. We'd meet the colleague who accidentally forwards a private text, the influencer who claims insider access, the mentor who suddenly wants to approve every personal choice. We'd watch Gökberk and Cemre navigate miscommunications, their scenes paced like a dance between confession and silence. There would be the big blow-ups, sure, but also quieter moments, a missed call that lands wrong, an apology that doesn't fully land because truth has been bent by too many hands. Each beat would aim to widen the gap, to force the question of whether love alone can bear that weight. Out here, off the page, the moves can be subtler and the consequences more permanent. People behave according to motives we don't always get to see. Some are guided by transaction, others by fear. What the couple chooses to share and what they choose to keep is a delicate calculus they alone can make. We, from the outside, see fragments and call them stories. They live the story and know which pieces fit. That distinction matters, especially when noise threatens to drown out the signal. And yet, there's a paradox humming underneath all this machination. Sometimes the very opposition designed to unspool a romance ends up welding it. Resistance builds muscle. Pressure clarifies priorities. When you've held each other steady through a storm of someone else's making, it becomes harder to take the small things for granted. So perhaps the plotting will boomerang, revealing the tensile strength of Gökberk and Cemre's bond. Or perhaps, if they're not careful, the cuts add up, nothing dramatic at first, just 1,000 little slices, and distance sets in before anyone can name it. The stakes feel high because they are. We keep watching couples like Gökberk Yıldırım and Cemre Arda precisely because their path mirrors the lessons relationships teach us over and over. Love isn't a shield against confusion. It's a reason to keep learning one another even in the confusion. Friendship isn't the absence of envy around you, it's the presence of loyalty between you. Resilience isn't about never bending, it's about bending without breaking, standing again after the stumble, speaking again after the silence. Obstacles won't define them, what they do with the obstacles will. In the end, that's why today's theme resonates. The notion that adversaries are maneuvering to divide them turns out to be a lens through which to examine how relationships endure the spotlight. The antagonists might be characters drawn on a writer's room whiteboard, or they might be real people with real incentives. Either way, the remedy is the same: clarity, patience, and a united front. That doesn't make the path easy. It just makes it possible. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this deep dive. Being part of this community means approaching these stories with empathy, curiosity, and a healthy respect for the parts we don't know. Now we want to hear from you. Do you believe Gökberk and Cemre have what it takes to rise above this cycle of provocation and pressure? If an antagonist were to step onto their stage, who would it most likely be? The rival at work, the nostalgic ex, or the unseen hand that directs narratives from a distance? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read them, we talk with you, and we love the conversations that start here. If you enjoyed this video, please tap like, send it to a fellow fan who follows their journey, and make sure you're subscribed to Turkish Spotlight Secrets with notifications on, so you won't miss what comes next. We'll be here, watching the story unfold, celebrating the tender moments, and calling out the shadows that try to swallow them. Until next time, take care and keep your hearts open to the real love stories that refuse to be written by anyone else.